Bill O'Brien says that Boston College is not that far off from turning things around with a few tweaks on offense, defense, and on special teams. I think he is exactly right.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. I've been covering Boston College for over a decade. If you want Boston College news, analysis, and details on your Eagles, you're in the right spot. Locked On BC is a free daily Boston College podcast available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. On today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting updates. It's our end of our bye-week show. We're going to look at are there any risks that we're seeing in terms of guys fleeing, new names to watch for, flips, all that good stuff. We'll get into that. New portal rules, how that's going to impact BC. That's down to one transfer portal window. I'll explain what that looks like. And Bill O'Brien makes a quote that really makes it seem like BC could turn it around very soon. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Now, Bill O'Brien was on the Greg Hill show, local Massachusetts, Boston-based radio show. Former BC cheerleader Courtney Cox is on that show. And there's another guy, I'm blanking on it. It might have been Jermaine Wiggins. But I heard a clip of what he had to say. And it was interesting because O'Brien said, and I quote, that BC is very close to turning this around. And that not exact quote, but that's basically what he said. That BC is very, very close. And, you look on social media, you see what's going on with fans, and it seems like the season's already over. But I hear what O'Brien says, and I have to agree with him because, yes, you're 1-2, and your record says what you are, right? You can't change what your record says. That being said, they are, against Stanford, they were two bad, stupid turnovers away, and O'Brien calls them catastrophic incidents or catastrophic mistakes, dead right there, from BC scoring 34 points in that game and running away with it. Against Michigan State, you were one play away from scoring a touchdown that would have probably won you that game. You clean that up, you are in much better shape. I mean, even last week with all the teeth gnashing and people being upset about how things went, you had two catastrophic moments, three if you want to call the pick six the other one. Yeah, you probably that one too. That really flipped this game on its head. Stanford was not a better team than you. They really weren't. But BC shot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. And that cost them the game. You're not going to win games if you make mistakes like that. I don't care who you're playing. UConn, Syracuse, Clemson, Notre Dame. Like, you got to clean this up. And that is key number one for BC to flip this season back onto the track. You have to limit these mistakes. Like, I think it was Jeff Hafley that used to always say, like, you can't keep taking points off the board. Well, BC in those last 2 weeks, it was like an endemic with that. Like, it was just constantly taking points off the board. And that, especially if you're a team like Boston College that isn't, a blue blood that's loaded with five-star talent, you have to play good football to win those games. And they weren't. You had your moments, like obviously we saw Dylan Lonergan make some great plays and Reed Harris made some great plays, but it wasn't consistent enough. And if your defense is playing as poorly as it does, the offense has to really pick it up too. So I do think that there's a chance that BC turns this around. And I'm interested to see a few different things once next week starts. Where's the injury situation at? The practices were closed this week. There was no media availability, but we saw a number of players go down. We saw Bam Crouch go down. We saw Jubari go down. We saw, who else was there? Owen Stodmeyer hasn't come back. Amari Jackson hasn't come back. Syed Torrance is posting broken heart emojis. What's going on there? We need to know soon where that injury situation is. And honestly, most of those injuries, Crouch would be a big one to lose because I know some folks have not been happy with how he's played, but he's really important for this defense. Hopefully his injury isn't that big because you don't have a ton of depth that can really do what he does. Secondary, if you can get one guy back, I think you're in better shape. You go out there with like a Max Tucker and, either Amari Jackson or even maybe Ashton McShane, you're in better shape. But injuries happen. As much as you want to say that like Craig Fitzgerald is, you see all the work he's doing. I see people attacking him, and I'm like, it's not that. Football's a violent game. You look at every roster out there, injuries happen. There's nothing he can do to stop a guy from getting injured. There's certain types of injuries that he can prevent, but the other ones, it's a violent sport. This stuff happens. It's the depth that you have that's going to help you dig your way out of this. And so BC it's going to start with the coaching, right? The coaches have to be able to get BC out of this situation. Like I'm dying to see how this last week of practice went for BC. Like, he also said the practices were great. They did, I think they did a scrimmage or two, it sounds like. So they really, they're pushing the players to improve. So hopefully we see that, because Cal, your first matchup when you get back out there on the field at home, they have one of the best quarterbacks, freshman quarterbacks in the country right now. And he's playing out of his mind. And if you make mistakes, they're going to beat you. So they need to play better football. But I look at the roster, I look at what the schedule looks like, and yeah, BC didn't play great the last 2 weeks. But again, I go back to, if you remove those big mistakes, even a couple of them, they're 3-0 right now. They can turn it around. They can. You're playing some, the big discussion at the beginning of the season was the schedule was really, really hard. And yeah, you're playing Notre Dame, you're playing SMU, Louisville. But you look at who you're playing now, in every game that you have on that schedule, it's no longer you're looking at all these games and going, BC has no chance. Because even Clemson, like, if BC gets out there and plays well, they could beat them. Notre Dame, they won a football game yet. Jeremiah Love has not done much. You could beat that. It's possible. So that's the whole point here, is that there's a lot of possibilities left with 9 games left. There's a lot of possibilities to turn this around. There's a lot of possibilities that the issues that have bit you so far are fixable. Certain things may not. Maybe you're going to let up a few explosive plays every game because your defense is just going to struggle with tackling. And that's going to be a thorn on your side all year. But everything else, you have possibilities on your roster. We already saw Bill O'Brien hit that with Dwayne Alec, being switched out from Michael Krauts. Alec was struggling with snaps. He made the change. He brought in Krauts. You can do that. You can bring in Andy Quinn if you think that Seamus Florio is still starting to struggle. There's options on your roster. But I think it really does go back to the mentality of the staff. Like, they need to go out there and get this roster clicking and work with them on preventing those big mistakes, like ball security, making sure that there's no carelessness with it. That's stuff they can coach. That's stuff they can do. Will they be able to do it? We'll have to wait and see. In a moment, new transfer portal rules are in for college football, and it changes everything. I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. These are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week that moved the game forward had to be the play of Reed Harris. Every time BC needed a big play in this game against Stanford, it was Harris. And honestly, if BC won this game, that's all we'd be talking about, is all those crazy catches he made. There were good throws by Larnagin. Some of them were high, but that's what he's there for. We've been excited to watch Reed Harris and watch what he can do and push forward in his game. We're starting to see it. He's becoming more and more of a target, and I think that's going to help BC football. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like that, there's more to every highlight. There's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, Move and be moved. The weather's cooling down, the days are getting shorter, and that has me wanting to make my home feel even cozier. And when it comes to cozifying your space this fall, Wayfair is the place to go. Wayfair has everything you need to set the mood for the season, whether it's comfy recliners, warm bedding, autumn decor, or even an espresso machine so you can make your favorite latte at home. I needed a new down comforter. I hate being cold during the winter. I got a great one. My wife and I love it. It's comfortable, it's warm, it's everything we needed, and it's perfect. It looks great too. It makes our bedroom, pulls it everything together. It's the perfect time to set up your home for the fall so you can enjoy cozy nights as well with family and friends. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor, you'll find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Locked on Boston College, AJ Black here, and shout out to all my everydayers out there. All of you who have made Locked on Boston College your first listen every day. And to all my people who have made Locked on Boston College your, you've checked out our podcast, you subscribed. Thank you so much for doing that. We are a free daily Boston College podcast, and we want to be your first listen every day too. So hopefully you like it. Now, the new transfer portal window has rules have come out. And there's two big takeaways from what they decided on. First of all, there's going to be no more spring transfer portal window. Remember the last couple of years after spring ball was done, we've had a few guys enter the portal. That's done. It's not happening. Second of all, they're only going to have a 10-day window to enter the portal from January 2nd to January 11th. That is the new portal. That's it. That's all it has. So it really has limited for a while, you could enter the portal anytime you wanted to. Then they had the two windows, they had the fall and the spring. Now it's just that 10-day window. And so how does this impact BC? Well, first of all, getting rid of spring, I don't think that impacts BC all that much. Now, to be fair, I thought this spring BC did a good job of adding some Power 4 players to complement what they had on their roster. Jason Hewlett, Micah Byerson, and Chris Marable Jr. They added a couple new names to beef Ela Boykin. They added some names to beef up their defense. They needed that. They also lost George Rooks, which was kind of a surprise as he ended up at Syracuse. So you lost a guy that probably could have been one of your starters. That was bad. Or negative. And then Jacoby Robinson, who looked like he got beat out by Shaker Reisig, he ended up at Southern Miss. Not a huge thing for BC. And honestly, the spring portal hasn't always been big for BC. Even when Jeff Hafley was here, it was something they rarely used. That I think won't matter that much for BC. The winter portal, that January 2nd through 11th, that's going to be more interesting. And I'm interested to see, I don't have their calendar in front of me, but how quickly BC is going to have to move and react to this, because you have guys entering the second when classes usually start like the 15th or 16th. So you need in BC is a school where you have to get the kids in for class unless they're going to start over the summer. And I'm sure the staff wants these kids in as early as they can get so they can learn the playbook and work with some fits and all that stuff. So it's going to be breakneck speed for this. So that leads me to believe one thing that's going to be really big, and I think it was Ryan Day that said it, that tampering is going to be insidious. So we just put out one quick fire. Coaches hated the two portals, and I get it. It's hard to manage a roster, all that stuff. Well, you put that fire out. Now there's going to be a new fire, because there's going to be programs that aren't going to be able to react that quickly, and they're going to just start. They're going to start trying to poach mid-season. They're going to start poaching, in November. It's going to be a lot of that happening. And the reason Day brought it up for Ohio State is a school like that is probably going to be in the midst of a playoff run. Their roster could get decimated by that. Like, they're still playing football. BC marking, unless they run off and win like 11 games in a row right now by winning the rest of the season, some conference championships and whatnot. Their season's going to end probably, middle of December. They'll have plenty of time for that. But for the schools that are going in for the playoffs, that usually goes into New Year's. So they're going to just, and sometimes it's the week after. Those programs are going to be up against it. That's tough. So that's another piece. I just think I'm wondering how long this new iteration of the portal will last as well, because I wonder, we've seen the lawsuits, Bannon versus EA Sports or whatever it was. I forget who Bannon was suing, but that whole thing. And there's been other lawsuits as well. How long this new iteration will work, because I could see players saying that it's limiting the amount of movement that they can do, and it's kind of locking them in. So that could be something that's worth watching as well. Like, are they going to be stuck and then they're going to make a lawsuit and this changes everything? But, for BC, I don't think they're going to tamper, but you got to believe that once their season ends, hopefully it's not November, but after a bowl game, they're going to be, watching film. And you have to imagine too that, January 2nd is the day that you can officially enter the portal. But we all know this too. I should have said this earlier, that, if Joe Schmo is going to enter the portal and his season's over on December 25th, he's already going to be entering the portal the next day. Like he'll have the graphic, and basically at that point, whether it's legal tampering or whatever it is, every school's going to be contacting him anyway. So yes, you can officially enter the 2nd through the 11th, but for months ahead, we're going to have guys. I mean, what was it? It was Castellanos last year, right? He entered the portal right after the Syracuse win, but he couldn't officially enter until the end of the season. So I think that little caveat is going to happen a lot too, and that will make this a little bit more like, this is what the rules are, but this is exactly what's happening, and it's going to be more widespread. So it's going to be interesting to see how the NCAA actually enforces any of this, because I don't see them doing that. Because, hey, has the NCAA enforced anything recently? No, they have no teeth left. So that's my thoughts on the new portal rules. It's only for football. We'll wait to see what basketball looks like. I'm assuming it'll be something similar, right? Like 10 days after the end of March Madness or whatever. So we'll wait to see what that looks like. But that's what it is for now. Now, in our final segment, you folks have been asking for some more recruiting news. What's going on? Some players that may starting to get more interest. Where are they? We'll talk all about that in just a moment. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Folks, like Cityside, I love going there to watch college football and NFL games. When there's a Patriots game on, it's great. And, I know a lot of away fans like going there too, but even for NFL games, Cityside was always my place to go to. And I still miss my time going there. It feels like an entire block is there cheering on the Pats when there's games going on. And, Square is a proud sponsor of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown the week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Boston College, Luca Lombardo delivered in a big way. After years of watching BC not being able to hit a field goal, Lombardo has been perfect this year and hit one from 51 yards out. It was great to see BC actually being able to do that with no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Lombardo is on a streak. And just like Luca Lombardo, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. The Charitable Irish Society has been part of Boston's history since 1737, making it the oldest Irish society in the Americas. With deep ties to Boston College, its leaders and members continue a proud tradition of service. Today, the society is still living its mission, raising thousands of dollars each year to help immigrants in need, Irish and non-Irish alike. Last year, the support helped a family from Northern Ireland who faced a medical crisis and couldn't cover rent and bills. You can be part of that impact. Membership is just $75 a year, and it goes directly to helping families when they need it most. And mark your calendar. The annual Silver Key Dinner is coming up October 29th at the UMass Club, honoring Archbishop Henning. Get your tickets for the annual Silver Key Dinner and join the Charitable Irish Society today at www.charitableirishsociety.org. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, and thank you all who have made us your first daily listen every single day. And if you're looking for a second show, check out Locked On Celtics with John Corrales. Seasons are right around the corner. You're getting to hear what he has to say. He is great if you have not checked him out already. Now, recruiting is still going on. Now, BC has not had a commitment for over probably 2 months at this point. I think Femi Babalola in mid-July was the last one we've heard of. Now, things can always get interesting. Now, with as we said on a show earlier this week, UCLA fired their head coach, Deshaun Foster. What's going on with Carter Gooden? I'm going to tell you right now, don't get good vibes about this. I know BC really was pushing hard for him at one point, and he was in like the final grouping with Penn State and UCLA, but he's taking an official visit or unofficial visit to go see Penn State this weekend or next weekend. I don't think BC is. I think he's looking for other things, and whatever that is, I'm not sure. But I don't think BC's going to be there. So I'm not feeling good about Carter Gooden. Maybe something will change, but right now, nah. Now, otherwise, Femi Babalola, the quarterback I just mentioned from Ravenwood, Tennessee, who's had a strong start to his senior year, got an offer from Colorado. Primetime, Coach Prime offered him just this last week. Obviously, when Coach Prime offers you, even if Colorado has not been anything under Dion, you listen. I'm sure he's got a bag of Gucci or whatever that they always talk about over there. But I'm not too worried about that. I think BC has a good relationship with him. The coaching staff really has gone along with him. And, I think this is one where maybe if like a big school, like an SEC school in his backyard came and looked at him, maybe that would change his view. But Colorado, don't see it. So I'm not too worried about that one right now. Even if BC's losing right now, I think they're going to be like any quarterback's going to watch what they've done with Dylan Lonergan right now and say, that's what I want. Right. While Colorado has like 3 quarterbacks and they've been cycling and all of them have been losing. So I think BC is probably in good shape there. Also, Gavin Neal, their defensive tackle. I believe he got a Big Ten offer. I don't remember who exactly it was. I think it might have been Illinois. But he likes BC a lot. So I think that still seems like it's a spot that's pretty tightened up. Now, I think the next piece is going to be what's coming next. Senior film is starting to come out for players across the country. You're going to start seeing names attached to BC, I think probably in the next couple of weeks. BC has a committed class of 27, but they can go bigger. There's going to be guys that the staff see their film and say, I want to offer that guy. And these players could end up being the real steal of the draft. Remember, Sterling Sanders, your 4-star from last year, was not offered by BC until the summer. The fall. He was committed to Georgia Southern or something like that, but he didn't start getting big offers. Same thing with Jaden Fry, 2-year commitments from last year. So I think that could happen again. I will have full visitors lists for this Cal game coming up, and any news, obviously I'll have it on Eagle Insider and I'll talk about it here. That's what I do. That's my business right there. Right. Well, thank you all for listening. My name's AJ Black. This was our bye-week shows. I after losing to Stanford, I was like, oh man, I want another game going on. But honestly, it's probably the best thing for the team too, right? Like they get to rehab some of those injuries, get their stuff together, and get ready for 8 games in a row. So we're not going to have another bye until right around Thanksgiving. So let's get ready for it. This is going to be a busy couple weeks because we also have hockey starting soon. We have basketball coming in a month. Like it's starting up, folks. We're really getting into the meat of the season. So thank you all. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram, on Threads, Blue Sky, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. Check me out there. and I'll see you again on Monday for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.